Paragraph 8. Another group of hypotheses focuses on removal of Acanthastor's predators. In this sentence, the main verb is focuses, and please remember that focuses is usually accompanied by the preposition of on. We have this is a collocation aspect of this verb, focus on. Please remember this collocation, focus on, focus and on. We usually focus on something. And here, this group of hypotheses focuses on removal of Acanthastor's predators. It means that this hypothesis mainly discusses the removal of Acanthastor's predators. Sentence 2. Some have suggested that the predators might have been killed off by pollution, whereas others have suggested that the harvesting of vertebrate and invertebrate predators of Acanthastor could have reduced mortality and caused increased abundance of adults. In this sentence, the main verb is this verb phrase have suggested. And that here functions like the object of suggest and introduces this clause. We have a fascinating structure here, might have been. This verb phrase is usually called past modal. We know modal verbs. Verbs like might, may, could, should, must, will, shall, ought to, and a couple of other verbs belong to a particular category of verbs that we refer to as modal verbs. And these verbs are utilized for expressing ideas about ability, possibility, permission, obligation, prediction, futurity, and so on. These modal verbs have some interesting attributes. The first one is that they don't take the third person singular form of S. They don't adopt participle form. Present either present participle, which is shown by ing, or past participle, which is usually shown by ed as a suffix. And after modal verbs, we have the base form of the verbs. These features make modal verbs distinguishable from the rest of the verbs, and actually adds to them some degree of inflexibility. As I said, they don't have any past participle form. So in order to circumvent this degree of inflexibility, we can add have been to have done or have been to these modal verbs, and employ them for expressing ideas in the past, ideas about possibility, ability, futurity, permission, prediction, and so on. For example, here might have been is used for discussing the possibility of an idea in the past. Here, this piece of clause that says the predators might have been killed off by pollution equals this sentence that says it is possible that predators have been killed off by pollution. Since they are important, I want to discuss them in my Word document for better instructing them. The clause, the predators might have been killed off by pollution, is similar in meaning with the following clause. It's possible that the predators have been killed off by pollution. And it's again similar in meaning with the next clause. The predators have possibly been killed off by pollution. So we have this equation between might have done, it's possible have done, and have possibly done. There is an equivalence in terms of meaning uh, between these three verb phrases, and sometimes there are some nuances in their meaning, but generally this equation holds. As for the entire list of past modals, besides might have done, we have may have done, could have done, should have done, would have done, and must have done. They talk about something in the past in an unknown time, but relevant to the present. They become negative, and regarding their negativity, we have might not have done, may not have done, and so on. Could not have done, should not have done, would not have done, and must not have done. May have done, like might have done, talks about the possibility of something in the past, but relevant to the present. But may have done is a bit more certain about that possibility. You are actually surer, a bit surer, when you use may have done rather than might have done. For instance, person A says, I wonder why Kate didn't answer her phone. And person B replies, she may have been asleep. And person B means perhaps by expressing his response to person A means perhaps she was asleep. Person B is a bit shorter that she was asleep when using may, or actually may have been, rather than might, or better might have been. Regarding their negativity, we have this piece of conversation. Person A says, I wonder why Sarah didn't reply to my message. And person B says, answers to A, I suppose she might not have got it. Here, it can be she may not have got it. And person B, by expressing this, means perhaps she didn't get it, or perhaps she did. The story for could have done is wholly different from may have done and might have done. For example, let me demonstrate its function with an example. Something could have happened. We mean it was possible to happen, but it didn't. And the crucial part of the sentence is the second part, but it didn't happen. We know that. However, it was possible. Or in a piece of conversation, we may hear someone says, "Why did you stay at the hotel when you were in Paris? When you were in Paris, you could have stayed with Julia." In this sentence, Julia is someone who lives in Paris. And the speaker tells us, why did you stay at the hotel when you were in Paris? You could have stayed with Julia. In this sentence, you didn't stay with Julia. But you could. But it was possible. But it was possible for you to stay with Julia. This part and here, it's better to place an equal sign. You could have stayed with Julia means you did not stay with Julia, but it was possible for you to stay with Julia. The negative could have done is couldn't have done. For example, you say, we had a great holiday. It couldn't have been better. When you say we had a great holiday, it couldn't have been better, you mean that it was not possible that the holiday became better than it really was. It couldn't have been better, or equally, it was not possible that the holiday became better than it really was. Its difference with may or might have done is that when we say um, it might not have been better, we mean that perhaps it was possible for the holiday to become better, and perhaps it was not. You see, when we say it might not have been better, we mean that perhaps it was possible for the holiday to become better, and perhaps it was not possible. Maybe it was possible, and maybe it was not. But in the case of could not have been better, we mean that it was. We are sure that it was not possible that the holiday became better than it really was. Now it's time to talk about should have done. Should have done gets across ideas in a different way from could have done, may have done, and might have done. Let me demonstrate its function with an example. When you say you should have done something, or better, he should have done something, you mean he didn't do it, but it was better to be done. You see, he should have done something, equals this sentence. He didn't do it, but it was better to be done. For instance, you missed a great, uh, great party last night. Uh, you should you should have come. You missed a great party last night. You should have gone. It means that you didn't come to the party, but it was better for you to come to the party because that was a great party. So we see that should have done means something didn't happen, but it was better to be done. Its negative aspect, shouldn't have done, functions the other way around. You know, when you say you shouldn't have done this, you mean that you did it, but it was better for you. But it was better, it doesn't matter for me. But it was better not to do it. You see, shouldn't have done functions conversely in correspondence with should have done. In should have done, we say that you didn't do it, but it was better you do it. In shouldn't have done, we say that you didn't do it, but it was better not to do it. For instance, I'm feeling sick, I'm feeling uneasy. I should not have eaten so much. This sentence says, I have eaten so much and now I'm feeling sick. It was better for me not to eat so much. So this is the function of should not have eaten. Uh, I ate a lot, but it was better so much because now I'm feeling sick. Now it's the time for would have done to be explored. We use this verb phrase would have done for two purposes. The first one is general imaginary situation for the past. For example, you say they helped us a lot. We don't know. What would happen? What would have happened without their help? They helped us a lot. We don't know what would have happened without their help. In this sentence, when you say what would have happened, you mean that you actually imagine a situation that they didn't help you. You talk about a situation that they didn't help you. But this is an imaginary situation. In the real world, they helped you. They helped you a lot. You can paraphrase this sentence in this way. We don't know what we would have done without their help. Without their help. Again, you imagine a situation that they didn't help you, and you don't know what to do. But this situation didn't happen because in the real world they helped you. We use the negative would in the same way. For example, I didn't invite them to the party. They wouldn't have come anyway. We have this verb phrase wouldn't have come, the negative would. In this sentence, you didn't invite someone to the party because you imagined that, you thought that they uh, never come, they never came to your party. And now, when you look at what happened in the past from a present view, you say they would not have come anyway. You actually report why you didn't invite them to the party. The second way that we use would have done or would not have done is when we miss an opportunity in the past. And this missed opportunity is closely related to the third conditional that you may be familiar with. The third conditional with if. We had if we had started soon, we would have done a lot on the project. Again, this is an imaginary situation in the past that didn't happen, and it is closely related with if in the third conditional, if plus past perfect. If we had started soon, we would have done a lot on the project. With negative would, I wouldn't have failed the exam if I had studied harder. Again, this is an imaginary situation in the past. This is a missed opportunity connected with the third conditional, which is denoted by if here. You imagine a situation in the past that you never failed your exam because you studied harder. But this is an imaginary situation. This is not what happened in the past. Finally, must have done is left. We use must have done when we are certain about a past situation. When we use evidence or logic, when we have a reason for what we say, so we use must have done. For example, person A says, I have lost one of my gloves. And person B replies, you must have dropped it somewhere. If you ask person B why he thinks this way, definitely he has a reason. Perhaps person A had frequently lost his things in the past. He maybe frequently dropped his things in the past, and according to those occurrences, person B concludes that he must have dropped one of his gloves somewhere. So again, I write this point that must have done is connected with logic and evidence. We use must have done, then we have logic and evidence, and we resort to them. Unlike other past models, the negative of must have done is not must not have done. No, the negative of must have done is can't have done or couldn't have done. It is so important. This is an important point regarding must have done. Sarah contacted me she must have got my message. In this sentence, you use must have got because you have a reason. You are certain about what happened. Since Sarah contacted you, you conclude about the past that she got your message. So you say she must have got my message. In the negative case, we have this example. Sarah has not contacted me. She can't have got my message. You see, you don't say she must not have got. You say she can't have got. This is the negative form of must have done. Equally, you can use she couldn't have got. She couldn't have got. With expression she cannot have got my message, you mean that you are actually certain that she didn't get your message because you have evidence, because Sarah has not contacted you. Back to sentence 2. Some have suggested that the predators might have been killed off by pollution, whereas others have suggested that the harvesting of vertebrate and invertebrate predators of acanthastor could have reduced mortality and caused increased abundance of adults. Here, whereas is a subordinating conjunction of concession Actually, the other, in order to make a concession, used whereas here, and when we use subordinating conjunctions within a sentence, not at the beginning of a sentence, we don't set up the subordinating clause with comma. And due to that, we don't have comma before whereas. This sentence actually is a complex sentence because we have an independent clause here and a dependent clause here. And the other wants to make a difference between two different viewpoints. The first one is that the predators might have been killed off by pollution, and the second one believes the predators of Acanthastor have been harvested or have been hunted. Here, harvest is used in the meaning of hunt. The original meaning of harvest is to reap, to gather crops, but here harvest means to hunt. Vertebrate and invertebrate are important TOEFL vocabs. You may encounter these words in TOEFL materials frequently. Vertebrate is used to refer to a species having a spinal column, a spinal cord, like a human being. And invertebrate is used to refer to a species not having a spinal cord. So in this complex sentence, the other cites two different viewpoints about the removal of Acanthastor's predators. The first one mentions that this removal happened as a result of pollution, and the second one says that the predators of Acanthastor have been hunted, have been captured. And as a result, the population of Acanthastor increased. Sentence 3. The problem with this group of hypotheses is that it's difficult to understand how reduced predation would lead to sudden increases in Acanthastor numbers in several places at the same time in specific years. And this sentence is the main verb, and that is a placeholder. Actually, it is the complement. It actually introduces what is the complement, this clause. This clause is the implicit complement for the verb is, and that introduces this clause. The other in this sentence states that it's difficult for predator removal hypotheses to explain the sudden increase in the number of Acanthastors in different locations, different detached locations simultaneously. This sentence has a hidden assumption, and that hidden assumption is that if the increase in the number of Acanthastors has been reported in just one location or two locations simultaneously, it was okay for predator removal hypotheses to explain them. But when this increase has been reported in several detached locations simultaneously, it is difficult for predator removal hypotheses to explain this occurrence. Sentence 4. It seems probable that there is no single explanation, but that there are elements of the truth in several of the hypotheses. It, in this sentence, is not a pronoun referring to something in the preceding. It actually is a placeholder for the subject. And what is the subject? Actually, what comes after that, this clause, is the implicit subject, and it holds a place for this implicit subject, and actually is used to add emphasis to what seems probable. That in this sentence holds a place for what completes the verb seems, and it is actually this clause is a subordinating clause, and the role of that is to introduce what comes after here. There is no this clause. This sentence states that no hypothesis can completely explain the outbreaks in acanthasters, but all hypotheses have a degree of truth to them. Sentence 5. That is, there are natural processes that have led to outbreaks in the past, but human impact has increased the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. In this sentence, that which is the subject of is a pronoun, and it refers to the previous clause. This clause, I mean, which says there is no single explanation, but that there are elements of the truth in several of the hypotheses. That actually holds a place for this clause. What comes after is this clause. There are natural processes that have led to outbreaks in the past, but human impact has increased the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. Is the complement for the be verb of is. This sentence actually explains further the previous sentence, which says there is no hypothesis explaining fully the outbreaks, and on the other hand, all hypotheses have a degree of truth. Sentence 5 subscribes to sentence 4. It says that the outbreak phenomenon is actually happens as a result of a combination of natural processes, and human impact also plays an important role in the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. Question 10. Why does the author state that it's difficult to understand how reduced predation would lead to sudden increases in acanthaster numbers in several places at the same time in specific years? Here in the question prompt, this noun phrase sudden increases is the same outbreak that we encountered several times when reading the passage. Like other questions, our general strategy is to reject the incorrect options and finally settle for the correct one. And actually, we do this rather than finding the correct option. With this in mind, we explore the options. The first one, to indicate the difficulty in proving that increases in acanthaster numbers occur at the same time in different areas of the world. According to the highlighted sentence, we know that this is a difficulty to understand how reduced predation would lead to outbreaks or sudden increases. But does the other really want to show this difficulty? I doubt it. We should go back to paragraph 8. Here, the highlighted sentence has been mentioned in this sentence. And in this sentence, we see that the other says the problem with this group of hypotheses is that there is a difficulty in something. So we see that the other does not want to show there is a difficulty between how reduced predation would lead to sudden increases. Actually, he wants to show that there is a problem with this group of hypotheses. This is the aim of the other. For the other, it doesn't matter what is the difficulty. Actually, he wants to show that there is a difficulty, and that difficulty makes a problem to accept this group of hypotheses. Now that we see that the other just wants to add emphasis to the existence of a difficulty and does not pay much attention to what the difficulty is, we reject option 1 because option 1 accentuates what is the difficulty, but the other does not emphasize on what the difficulty is. He just wants to show that there is a difficulty, and that difficulty makes a problem to accept this group of hypotheses. Option 2, to identify a problem with a hypothesis that associates the increase in the population of acanthaster with the removal of its predators. This option seems in agreement with the author's intention of citing the highlighted sentence. So we keep this option as our candidate and go for checking the remaining 2 options. Option 3, to argue against the hypothesis that human activities cause sudden population outbreaks of acanthaster in different places at the same time. While the other wants to argue against a group of hypotheses, and with this in mind, mentions the highlighted sentence, that group of hypotheses doesn't cite any simultaneity in the outbreaks of acanthasters. No, this group of hypotheses doesn't involve this simultaneity. Simultaneity of outbreaks, simultaneity in outbreaks of acanthasters in different places. So this option is rejected because the other in the first sentences of paragraph 8 just mentions a group of predator removal hypotheses without pointing to this phenomenon that outbreaks of acanthasters have happened in different locations at the same time. So it's clear that this option is rejected. Option 4, to argue against the view that the predators of acanthaster decline because of pollution and harvesting by humans. This option is rejected because the other cites the highlighted sentence in order to argue against this perspective that predator removal will lead to sudden increases in acanthaster population. And the other does not mention any problem with the causes of predator removal. Actually, he argues against the suggested results of predator removal. You see, he involves in the results of predator removal, not the causes of predator removal. And due to that, we reject option four, and we accept option two. That was our candidate, and it is indeed in agreement with what has been mentioned as the author's intention to cite the highlighted sentence in paragraph 8. Question 11. What does the author conclude in paragraph 8 about the causes of sudden population increases of Acanthastor? Again, our general strategy for answering the question is rejecting the incorrect choices rather than finding the correct one. So we begin to check the options. Option 1, a sudden population increase in the Acanthastor population could be attributed to natural process as well as human activities. So we should go back to paragraph 8 to check this option there. Okay. In this part of the paragraph, we can gain relevant information. So this sentence says there are natural processes that have led to outbreaks in the past, but human impact has increased the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. So it seems both human activities and natural processes led to outbreaks in Acanthastor populations, and the role of human activities is mostly goes to the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. So it seems this option can be in agreement with the information in paragraph 8. Indeed, in paragraph 8, the sudden increase in the Acanthastor population was attributed to both natural processes and human activities. And as we just mentioned, the role of human activities is in increasing the frequency and severity of the outbreaks is considerable. So we keep this option as a candidate for our answer to the question. Option 2, there are no elements of truth in the hypothesis proposed to explain sudden population increases of Acanthastor. Back to paragraph 8, we read here that it seems probable that there is no single explanation, but that there are elements of the truth in several of the hypotheses. So this option is wrong because indeed there are elements of the truth in the hypothesis proposed to explain sudden population increases of Acanthastor, because the sentence that actually, according to paragraph, that all hypotheses have an element of the truth, have a degree of truth, although there is no single explanation for the phenomenon of Acanthastor outbreaks. Option 3. It's possible to offer a single explanation for sudden population increases of Acanthastor. No, this option is also wrong, like option 2, because according to paragraph 8, it is clear according to paragraph 8 that there is no single explanation for sudden population increases of Acanthastor, but proposed hypotheses, all proposed hypotheses have a degree of truth. So there is no single explanation for this phenomenon, and this option is wrong. Option 4. Natural processes have been responsible for sudden population increases of Acanthastor in the past, while present outbreaks are due to human activities. So this option categorizes the causes of Acanthastor outbreaks in terms of time. It says that in the past the causes were natural processes, and in our current time, the causes are human activities. I think we should go back to paragraph 8 and check this. Here, in the last sentence, we gain the relevant information and we read that there are natural processes that have led to outbreaks in the past, but human impact has increased the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. This sentence says that natural processes were the uh, causes of outbreaks in the past. But what we infer from the sentence is that human impact in our current time has been added to natural processes and coupled together, coupled with each other, they lead to outbreaks. And the role of human impact is that it increases the frequency and severity of the outbreak. So we infer that both natural processes and human impact in our current time lead to this phenomenon. But in the past, it was the natural process that was the sole cause. Therefore, option 4 is wrong. And our candidate for the answer that was option 1 is the answer, is the true answer, because it actually says that the acanthaster, the sudden increase in the population of acanthaster could be attributed to both natural processes and human activities. Question 12. The word severity in the passage is closest in meaning to land, efficiency, speed, seriousness. Our general strategy for answering TOEFL question, that is the rejection of the correct options, may not be useful to answer a vocabulary question. And indeed, you should boost your vocabulary knowledge. But here you may try to replace options with the place of severity in the passage. What this can function as a hint for you is that if we don't have severity here and we have a blank space here, since we have and here, and actually draws a parallel between two things that are similar, we guess that what comes after and should be of the same nature in quality that the frequency is. So the first option, lands, is rejected because the nature of lands is wholly different, as a quality is wholly different from the nature of frequency, which is an abstract concept, unlike lands, which is more physical. But as for the other three options, I can say that they are of the same nature in terms of quality that frequency is. So if you don't know the real meaning of severity, you may choose one of them mistakenly. For example, you may choose efficiency and speed, while the real meaning of severity is seriousness. Severity can mean vehemence, intensity, force, violence, hardness, seriousness. Option 4 here, seriousness, is the correct answer to this vocabulary question. Question 13. This question is an text inserting question, and here we need to find the right place among the options within here paragraph 2 to insert this bold sentence. And this sentence says, the crown of thorns starfish is a coral reef predator that preys on coral polyps. Please remember this verb, prey on, with its collocation aspect, which is the preposition on following after prey. because you will encounter frequently this verb and this collocation aspect on the TOEFL materials. So, okay, to answer the question, we need to check the places where it is where is fit to insert our text. According to the sentence, we need that the crown of thorns starfish eats coral polyps. Okay, this is what the sentence boils down to. So we begin to read the paragraph. The first sentence: a single acanthaster can consume 5 to 6 square meters of coral polyps per year, and dense populations can destroy up to 6 square kilometers per year and move on rapidly. Acanthasters show a preference for uh, branching corals, especially acroporid. The first sentence talks about how much of coral polyps a single acanthaster can eat annually. And the second sentence talks about their eating preference. So our sentence here that simply says the crown of thorns starfish eats coral polyps should be placed in the first place here because it generally talks about actually I can faster eating polyps. And the next sentence becomes more special. This sentence, for example, talks about how selectively eating acroporids lead to a mosaic of living and dead corals here. So it seems that our sentence with general information is not a good fit for this place. So the first place here is the best fit for the sentence, and actually it means that the sentence begins the paragraph 2 begins with our general sentence that says the crown of thorns starfish eats coral, and in the next sentence uh, this eating behavior gains a specialty. All right, this is question 14. This is the famous summary question that you may find it challenging, as I have received plenty of complaints from my students how to handle this question. Okay, I'm here to help you. Let me read the prompt. An introductory sentence for a brief summary of the passages provided below. Complete the summary by selecting the 3 answer choices that express the most important ideas in the passage. Some answer choices do not belong in the summary because they express ideas that are not presented in the passage or are minor ideas in the passage. This question is worth 2 points. You see, now you are given 6 options, and out of these 6 options you should actually choose 3 of them that best summarize and most summarize the passage. The question is worth 2 points. It means that if you find all the 3 options correctly, you will receive 2 points. If you choose just 2 of them correctly and choose the other option wrongly, incorrectly, you will get 1 point. And in the case that you have chosen two incorrect options and 1 correct, or you have chosen all your 3 options incorrectly, you will receive 0. I have a few crucial points for you to successfully answer this summary question. The first and foremost one is that when you begin to read a passage, please memorize the important points and significant pieces of information in each paragraph. Also, pay attention to the links between paragraphs. For example, what happens from paragraph 1 to paragraph 2. This way, when you reach the summary question, which is the last question on each passage, and when you begin to read the 6 options, you don't need to go back to the text and lose time and get stressed in order to check whether or not the option is correct. This way you can easily read options and check them and reject them if they are incorrect. It helps you a lot. Secondly, while it has been mentioned in the question prompt that you should never choose options containing minor ideas, but detecting minor ideas is a subjective activity. Some test takers may find an option containing a minor idea, but the other some test takers may consider it not containing minor ideas. So by mentioning this, I mean that if you choose a correct option and you think that the information in the correct option, in this correct option is minor, don't neglect that option. Please keep it as a candidate for your chosen options and go for the remaining choices and read them. Finally, that options may be one of your chosen options and indeed maybe one of your correct options. Best summarizing the passage. Thirdly, like many other TOEFL questions on the reading task, your general strategy for answering the summary question should be rejecting the incorrect options and this way settling for the correct ones. This strategy best works for this summary question. Indeed, it really does the trick if you don't know what to do, if you're clueless. Fourthly, in your summary question, you are given a sentence. And here, this sentence written in bold is a sentence that is given to you. And in conjunction with your 3 chosen options, these 4 options actually are going to summarize the passage you read. So when you choose your options, your 3 options to summarize the passage, you should orient yourself to this given sentence because this is actually the first sentence, and it works like a topic sentence for a paragraph, for a cohesive paragraph, which actually organize what comes in the following. Some students, some test takers don't read this option and directly go for reading the choices, but this attempt is incorrect. It is misleading. You should firstly read this sentence and then begin to read the options. Option 1. Larvae acanthastor populations have preyed on coral reefs and caused the loss of coral cover over large areas and the collapse of some coral reef communities. This option seems incorrect because, somewhere in the passage we read that coral polyps prey on larvae acanthastor. And somewhere else in the passage we read that adult acanthasters converge on areas where corals are found after storms. We should check the passage, I think. Yeah, here. In paragraph 7, we read that it has been suggested that coral polyps are the main predators of the starfish larvae. And the second sentence solidifies our initial perception. It says that destruction of coral by whatever else would reduce predation on the starfish larvae. I should again mention that larvae in a stage of life in acanthasters that they are worm-like. After larvae stage, they adopt a new shape, and they begin a new stage in their life. So during that period, they may be desirable to coral polyps. And somewhere else in the passage, we read that this is the adult acanthasters that feed on corals. Here, yeah. The adult acanthasters converge on remaining portions of healthy coral and feed hungrily. So it means that option 1 seems incorrect, yeah. So we go to read option 2. Option 2, acanthaster outbreaks have been attributed to natural phenomena such as the storms that have created favorable conditions for the rapid development of the starfish larvae. This option seems correct, but in order to make sure we check the passage, and before that, the main idea of option 2 is that storms provide a favorable situation and conditions for the starfish larvae to grow, for the rapid development of the starfish larvae. Okay. A storm has been mentioned in paragraph. Yeah, here we had the storms. Falling larger storms, but there's little evidence. And here, the other two hypotheses attempt to explain the increased abundance of acanthus thereafter. The first hypothesis is that low salinity and high temperatures favor the survival of the starfish larvae. Yeah. We have two hypotheses regarding storms. The first one is that storms cause low salinity and high temperatures, which are favorable conditions for the survival of starfish larvae. And the second hypothesis emphasizes the food web aspect, suggesting that a strong freshwater runoff brings additional nutrients to the coastal waters, stimulating phytoplankton production and promoting more rapid development and better survival of the starfish larvae. So we found that option 2 is correct. So we go for reading option 3. Option 3, acanthaster outbreaks are the results of natural processes that have led to some increases in the past, as well as of human impact that has sped up the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. This is another correct option because in paragraph 8, yeah, here, we read that there are natural processes that have led to outbreaks in the past, but human impact has increased the frequency and severity of the outbreaks. We can replace the verb increased with sped up. That was mentioned in option 3. So according to the passage, option 3 is a correct one. Option 4, there are several Several hypotheses trying to explain the ancestor outbreaks, but none have elements of the truth because they contradict each other. No, this option is wrong because according to paragraph 8, let me go back to paragraph 8. We read that here. We read that it seems probable that there is no single explanation, but that there are elements of the truth in several of the hypotheses. So all proposed hypotheses have a degree of truth, although you cannot detect either of one. You cannot detect none of them as the single explanation for the Acanfaster outbreaks for this phenomenon, as a matter of fact. So option 4 is wrong because option 4 provides information that is in disagreement with what has been mentioned in the passage. Option 5, the crown of thorns starfish, Acanthaster planki, is large, 25 to 35 centimeters in diameter, and has 7 to 21 arms that are covered in spines. You see, this option is full of details, and if you have forgotten details, we should go back to paragraph 1 where these details have been mentioned. Oh, yeah. The crown of thorns starfish, Acanthaster planki, is large, 25 to 35 centimeters in diameter, and has 7 to 21 arms that are covered in the spines. This is the same option 5 without changing words. Option 5 carries correct information according to the passage, but the information is somehow minor. We should keep it as a candidate for an option, for a correct option, and go for reading option 6. Option 6, the favorable anthropogenic causes such as destruction of coral by blasting and other bad land use practices have provided Acanthaster more food sources and therefore stimulated its population outbreaks. This option is clearly wrong, and I will show you why. Because, in the passage we read that coral destruction by blast and other bad land use practices have reduced predation on Acanthaster larvae, and this way, and thereby increasing Acanthaster populations. Because coral polyps prey on Acanthaster larvae, and when corals are destructed, Acanthaster larvae are less become preyed on. Let me go back to paragraph. Here. It has been suggested that coral polyps are the main predators of the starfish larvae. Destruction of coral here by blasting out the bad land use practices would reduce predation on the starfish larvae. This is the reduced predation on the starfish larvae that causes to sudden increases in the number of Acanthasters. And this is not true that destruction of coral can provide food for larvae. No, that's not true, and the option is wrong. Option 6 is wrong. So correct options are 5, here 3, and option 2. So option 2, 3, and 5 are correct options, and they can best summarize the passage. What was interesting here was option 5, because option 5 provides us with details about Acanthester planki, and some test takers may neglect this option because they think that this option just provides minor ideas. But as I told you, detecting minor ideas is a subjective activity, and some test takers may consider an option containing minor ideas, and some others may not. But what is obvious here is that the author in this passage actually wants to talk a bit about the physical attributes of Acanthester planki, and some other hypotheses regarding their outbreaks in options 2 and 3.